How's it going, everybody? Rob here, back with another video. And, well, I'm going to be doing a follow-up of one of the earlier videos that I did. With the woman who sexually assaulted Andrew. Attempted to do it on camera. Actually, no, technically she did it off camera, so she still did it. Whether you feel it is or not, it's, I mean, again, if you try to, give unwanted contact to an individual, I mean, by definition, that would be classified as a sexual assault. Anyway, so, I guess this person also tried to claim a lawsuit. I didn't see this part, so this is going to be interesting. This is like 11 minutes. So let's go ahead and look at this. This is from the Whatever podcast, but it is was uploaded on their Whatever clips. So crazy single mom threatens Brian with a lawsuit for her own actions. Okay, let's do this. Hold on. Can you guys hear it? I don't think you can. Okay. There we go. Now you guys should be able to hear it. I'm gonna start that over. So how's it going, everybody? Rob here, back with another video, and we're gonna do a follow-up of a video I react to from the Whatever podcast. This is gonna be interesting, considering after her performance, after her actions, in the previous podcast that she was in, this individual, who went out of her way to give unwanted sexual contact to Andrew on screen, tries to claim a lawsuit. Now, I don't know if this is before or after that segment that we reacted to, but it is in the same video. For those, as I mentioned before, this is the Whatever podcast, or at least what we're reacting to, where you have a group of people, hosted by Brian, sometimes guested by Andrew, bring people on to discuss certain topics and debate between each other. Normally, especially with like Brian being somewhat of the cordial one out of everybody, Andrew being more of the combative, I would say, in a sense, nonsense combative type, in terms of logic and reasoning. And then you have a variety of different people who only speak from, unfortunately, emotion. So, anyway, this is crazy single mom threatens Brian with a lawsuit for her own actions. Okay. All right, here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and put that on.
Well, I mean, you were also threatening me with filing a lawsuit.
It wasn't a threat. It was a court-mediated process that I have to take.
I mean, is that the same thing? I mean, wouldn't that be classified as you threatening a lawsuit? I mean, regardless of how you want to say it. You know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and play this. If it plays.
What the fuck?
Yeah. There we go. And also, fix that. There we go. Okay, let's continue.
No, you said you'd go file a class action lawsuit against
Because
me.
I have to. If this wasn't going to be a
Why?
restitution show, because I'm now in a custody situation
What does
because
that-
of the last
I'm
show.
not a party to...
That's your own fault. It's not theirs. You went on the show, you acted ignorant, and you're basically suffering the consequences of your own ignorance.
Yeah, but you said you got 100% custody because of it.
Well, I had to take 100% custody because after that situation, my ex escalated in his...
Yeah, but didn't that work out well for you?
No, because... Do you want to understand the situation?
Intel
or do you
Wild
just wanna
donated
accuse me?
$100. Jesus, this chick is back crazy. Andrew, please call up the Santa Barbara PD and report the SA charge.
Okay, so I feel like this is after that moment.
Giant L to the University of Irvine.
Okay.
But I'm not going to do that if you apologize.
Apologize for what?
Apologize for what? Dude, you don't act stupid. Don't act stupid. You know what you did.
I'm sorry
Sorry for what?
that I made you feel battered.
Oh, so, I mean, if that's the apology,
It's the same apology that you gave me.
but you said that was an unacceptable apology.
Well, you reap what you sow, so I'm not going to give you...
That mentality, like that, you know, honestly, you know what you did wrong. You knew you were invading his privacy, and you didn't give a shit. I mean, come on. That's ridiculous.
Well, then, if we're doing you reap as you sow, and you don't want me to move over to Christian ethics, where I usually don't do eye for an eye, and I'm usually a pretty forgiving person, just let things go, right?
I'm sorry that I put my beautiful ass in your lap.
Ugh.
I'm really sorry that made you uncomfortable.
Chris donated $100.
Nick, can you
Please
leave
call
the door open?
CPS and take her children away.
Okay, no, that one, like that comment, no. That's not okay. As stupid as the person is, unless they're a bad parent, then I wouldn't wish that on them.
From her. They should play this entire podcast to the judge when deciding custody. I just left you a 1-star review on Amazon for her book.
That's probably going over the top too.
Everyone do it.
No, we're not gonna do shit like that. So the thing is, that's remarkably actually unhelpful in all ways.
Yeah.
The thing is I would like to get into you in a social theory that I have, and I'd like to explain it to you and get your takes because you are the expert. Have you ever
But how much of this is she actually going to listen to?
heard of what's called magic theory?
No.
Magic theory goes like this. This is considered a highly chauvinistic, I suppose, theory. I don't think it is. But essentially, if a woman cannot...
Okay, let's see. Yeah, I will take the okay. Brian, stop tucking tail. Also, someone DoorDash Andrew some beer and throw that pink drink away.
control you through sexuality, they move to manipulation. If they can't control you through manipulation, they move over to empathy. So these are mechanisms of control for...
That would be a mechanism of a sociopathic female, yes.
But haven't you...
Yeah, didn't you display some of those behaviors earlier? Or at least in the recent segment that we watched? Like, isn't that what you were doing?
demonstrated all of those traits
Yeah.
today?
I would say
Exactly.
I had to cycle through the toxic version of those things, and I arrived back on a genuine presentation of...
Yeah, no, you basically were doing the exact same thing that you were claiming Andrew was doing.
femininity.
But you
Bullshit.
started...
I have just been simply responding to your toxic masculinity that you've been putting on me. So I've been trauma responding with toxic femininity, yes. It's a protective measure.
So
Bullshit.
then you were acting in a way which you consider to be sociopathic?
No, because I wasn't being manipulative with my emotions, but
Bullshit. Flat out bullshit.
I will admit to intentional aggression against you, yes. But my crying and when you touched points of me that...
Also, I think that's a Smirnoff that he's drinking. Was it like pink lemonade or something?
made me cry. I wasn't trying to invoke any sort of empathy in you, as clear.
I think I've said it before. Especially like if people are public figures that claim that they're... I wasn't trying to do this, but doing the exact opposite. Like that's... It's again, it's like a reverse psychology trick. Where... if you want something, like you're trying to say, oh, I don't want your sympathy, but at the same time you're still trying to get it. It's like, dude, it's very clearly obvious what you're doing. Just because you say you're not going to gain, you know, just because you claim that you don't want sympathy doesn't mean that at this point, looking at what you're doing, how you're acting, it clearly shows that you want to try to gain sympathy from the individuals that are hosting the show.
Really, you don't have any, and you've stated that many times, and you don't care how I feel.
I never stated
so that
I
was
don't have
not for
empathy.
you. That was just me trying to literally, in real time, process my own trauma so I could move forward with the conversation.
Well, you can agree that, and I would agree with you too, that empathy is important. But you would have to agree with me that sometimes people will utilize it.
I'm sorry, I gotta pause. What does any of this have to do with Childish Gambino's new album? What the fuck
Empathy
is that?
is a weapon
True.
in order to get you to respond a certain way through manipulation. So when you say, well, wait a second, Andrew, respond to me this way, right? And I'm going to present myself this way, which looks very manipulative, and then say, well, wait a second, you're not responding with empathy, so therefore you're a sociopath, something like this. Isn't that kind of textbook manipulation?
Yes.
Andrew, it can be whatever you...
She's basically she's zoning out. She doesn't care. This lady does not care. I would, in terms of like behavior, I would say it's like I want to say this. Looking at her posture, looking at her the way she's like, in terms of like how she's acting. She's not looking at him. She's looking at the other, like looking down, looking like the other way. She doesn't care about what, or at least kind of like putting in her head like what he's actually saying. Showing, honestly, being very disrespectful to what he's, trying to, describe, or another point of view.
Whatever you need me to say to move along with the conversation, I consent so we can move along.
I would say that's a manipulation tactic. Like, just at this point, I'm trying to avoid it. Just to say, like, oh, I'm just going to go with what you say so we could just move on. No. And so far what I've seen with Brian and Andrew, they're not going to let that go. Especially when you have an individual who has felt so strongly about certain things and has been very, very confident about their own actions. They are going to, basically try to get this person to answer the questions. None of this, oh, I'll just agree with you and so we can move on. No. People they're going to latch onto that.
Okay, so you're just going to admit then that you've been being extremely manipulative this entire time?
Well, that's what you want, correct?
It's not what we want. It's what we ultimately what they want is the truth. That is so freaking, like, I'm trying to figure out the best way to describe it. Would that be passive aggressive, I would say, where it's like, oh, if that's what you want, like, no, we want the truth. That's what we want.
Well, I mean, I want you to tell the truth.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
No, you don't.
What do you mean? No, he doesn't. What the does that even mean? So it's like he doesn't want the truth. He doesn't want, it's like, how do you know what's in his head? Like, don't just assume what's in his head.
Yes, I do.
I don't agree with you.
Don't agree with me.
So you can read my mind? I really do. This would have been a really productive conversation. You should go back and look at all the debates I've done on here, one-on-one. They've always been super respectful, and they've really gone places, which are good places to go. This one has just literally been a fucking...
Then why are you still...
It's been a dumpster fire. That's what it's been. And honestly, this is the problem with a lot of the people that come onto this podcast, is they think they're going to act out however they want, but not realize that you have guys like Andrew that are going to be, basically cut and dry on how they respond and how they react. And some of these people who are the guests get very upset when they can't get the response that they want. Just like this woman on this podcast.
Here, why are you still here talking?
Because I still think perhaps I can get to some kind of worldview which we can discuss. I can still hope that. whether we will or not. But if you're just going to obstruct every time we get somewhere, which is productive because you might have to take responsibility, that's no good.
So I'm damned if I do and I'm damned if I don't.
You're just damned if you don't.
Yeah, exactly. Because, I mean, at this point, you've said a lot of things, you've done a lot of things, and if you don't respond or at least kind of interact, then it just looks bad on you.
You're damned if you refuse to engage, right?
Yeah.
Jorge donated $100. Let's be clear. She didn't win custody of her kids. She's holding them hostage from their dad.
Oh.
Okay. Anyway. So yeah, that's I just, I want to get into the aspects because you're kind of a master, right? Doesn't it even stand to reason that if you're a master in psychology and you are an expert in psychology, that you would also be an expert in employing manipulation tactics and psychological tricks in order to get people to empathize with your position?
Yeah. Exactly. Because I mean, in the last segment, she was all claiming, oh, I'm this and that, and like basically kind of debating on whether or not it was appropriate for even Andrew to even discuss some of these topics, considering that his skills were not even in psychiatry, and claiming that he has no right to talk about it, which, that's bullshit.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, if that's true,
yeah,
there's no reason for me to assume that you haven't been doing that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
It just, oh my God. At this point, she's shutting down. She doesn't want to have a conversation. At this point, she's not going to get the response she wants. She's literally just shutting down.
Well, I suppose also to Andrew's point, there's been multiple times throughout the conversation where we were talking about the white supremacy stuff, we were talking about your accusations of woman hating, and instead of engaging, you would just be like, nope, I'm not talking about it. Don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So I think that's what he's talking about.
I'm trying to keep my nervous system regulated so I can keep having a conversation without crying.
What does that even mean? My nervous system, right? Like, what does that even... Somebody in the chat, let me, like, I might be ignorant to it. Let somebody just answer that for me. I'm, like, very curious. I'm very, very confused on that. I mean, I hear that phrase. I'm regulating my nervous system or something. Like, it sounds like bullshit. Like, no offense.
Okay. All right. Well,
what is the? I know that you can't always explain this, but what is the motivation behind the crying? Is it because you feel bad?
No, it's not. It's not because she feels bad.
It's because my heart feels broken in certain moments, and that's all I know.
What? Is it the moments because you fucked up and you got called out on it? Is that why? I feel like that's the only reason why you've been crying, because these guys have called you out on some of your bad takes, some of your bad behaviors.
How to move forward from that position is to release it. If I try to hold on to it, it turns into something ugly. So crying is actually a protective measure to keep me from attacking you in a way that would...
And you did it anyway, so stop. Andrew, I'd say you're on the bullseye, but no political violence. You're right on the nose, but I'm not anti-Semitic. Never expected to hear magic theory on this show.
Be mean and malicious. I would rather just take in the pain, release it, and then see if I can regather myself to continue the conversation, or see if it's just done and I just need to leave.
Well, I think we can continue the conversation. Maybe we can get in a place where both of us have some common ground, right? I have kids, just like you do. With my kids...
Biological?
Yeah. But...
Oh, she went there. She's like, oh, are they actually yours? Like, come on, that's a low blow. That's that's an attack. I feel like that's an attack.
Illogical.
How old are they?
So the youngest is, well, I don't even want to get into their ages, and there's reasons why, but because I have people who are not good people who will weaponize.
So you know how it feels.
Do all sorts of, I've never weaponized your kids against you ever.
No, I'm saying though, but that is what happened because of the last show, and that's why I'm in a tough spot.
Yeah, I mean,
because
I can't,
my kids got weaponized because of the show.
I can't. I'm not responsible for that.
I'm not saying that you are, but I am saying that the places that you're leading me are subjecting me and thus my mothering to
well, I'm not,
things that are very traumatic for my children.
Yeah, I'm not going to try to do that. That
falls asleep. Okay, gosh.
That wasn't the example.
And I see the allowance of comments coming in still about my children, about CPS, about me being an.
So I'm gonna say this: as far as I know, at least from watching the whatever podcast, like the segments I've seen, the comment, like the way that Brian and Andrew and the rest of them have kind of described the comments in the chat is that's a third party. They have no control over the people that comment or chat. And I guess in terms of like that, they're made, like, people who come in as guests are made very aware about the comments in chat. So this woman kind of being surprised of what people are saying is, in a sense, kind of ridiculous, especially if she hasn't done the research to what the show is about.
And I explicitly asked.
I get the same comments.
I understand that, but I am actually in a active case because of this exact
I've had
thing.
my house swatted.
I don't see how like this podcast is to be at fault for, again, your own actions, for what you say and what you do. Your kids got weaponized because of your bad behavior. Once again, you show that you cannot accept responsibility for your own actions. Exactly. So she wants to blame the podcast, but in reality, it is her own fault, her own actions that cause the consequences that she suffers.
4 times.
Okay, I get it.
No, you don't get it. I've had my house swatted 4 times.
I've had my house swatted too.
Had the police called on me multiple times.
Same.
All for expressing an opinion, just like you.
Same.
We're in the same boat. If you're going to be a public figure, you're going to risk offense, and if you risk offense, sometimes crazy people are going to do bad things to you.
That's not my.
Okay, no, I gotta give Andrew a. I'm gonna say this. It in terms of like freaking like swatting, is people showing up at your houses, people stalking you. That shit is terrible, and I'm hoping that none of that ever happens to me or my family at all. In terms of, being a public figure, I mean, at some point, each and every one of us goes through it. I mean, hell, even though in terms of like, people leaving comments, I have shitty comments on some of my videos. Just recently, I got and by the way, I want to point out too, that in terms of, comments, what people say, you either can take it at a grain of salt, or you let it affect you to the point where you don't feel you can be on the internet. I myself take it at a grain of salt, and I just look at it, people are just typing on the internet. People are just typing on their keyboards on what they say. I mean, I got one video, like, recently where I was reacting to, there was one video where I was reacting to women who basically are caught just, putting people in the friend zone. Just as a random thing from Alpha Central. And instead of, like, leaving an actual, comment, either an actual piece of criticism, or just, mentioning if there's anything they liked or did like, they went for the usual attack, like, calling me a neckbeard or something like that. Do I give a shit? No, I absolutely do not. I'm using it as an example too, at this point, using it as an example because people are gonna say shitty things. But in reality, it's up to you to decide whether or not you let it affect you. So, anyway. And I'm going to say this. One last thing I'm going to say is, in terms of what people say or do, or actually, if anything, more to the point, what comments people leave, that's not an excuse for your bad behavior. If you do shitty things, you should be held responsible for them.
My criticism is that I did not know that that's what I was getting myself into.
I'm calling bullshit on that. I'm calling bullshit that she didn't know. I'm sure everybody who comes on this podcast is briefed on what the criteria is, what to expect. And I believe there is a segment where Brian even literally says that. So to claim that she wasn't aware of what she was getting into is complete and utter bullshit.
When I came to the last show, I did not know that that's what I was getting myself into. I genuinely didn't. I was under the impression that I was coming to a dating podcast just to discuss amongst other people like what's going on in the dating world. That's literally all I thought.
Why would you assume that people would be less likely to have strong emotional opinions about dating than they do anything else?
I guess I was sheltered. I didn't.
Yeah, people have strong emotional opinions about everything from politics.
All right. Maybe because you have nudes and your children on the same Instagram. True. Because oh my gosh. Oh, that would probably be a reason why the ex wants you off. Oh, that's actually true. That's actually a good point. She's claiming that the ex is trying to get custody. That's probably why. That is probably why.
To dating, to interpersonal relationships, they have strong opinions about circumcision. They have strong opinions about everything. And if you don't have right,
they did that the last time.
There's always going to be people who disagree with you and are going to try to do bad things.
I feel as if the explicit animosity towards me as a mother and my children was very extreme.
Yeah, it's not coming from them. At this point, the reason it's coming at you is majorly because of how you behaved. It's not because of Brian and Andrew. It's because of your own actions, because of how you acted. And at this point, especially with the last segment that we looked at, you clearly can't take responsibility for your own actions and try to make excuses for things that you do. Once again, you considered that it was okay. You thought it was okay to, after Andrew told you multiple times no, which I think that's, once you say no, then that should be the moment where you stop. You went out of your way to walk up to him, pull up your dress, and try to shove your ass in his face. In any sort of scenario, that would classify as sexual assault. But for some reason, you think that that's okay.
But you're the ones that allow the comments or not. You remind people that there's certain trigger things and things that are so toxic you don't allow it. So therefore, I know you have a censoring process, yet you're still letting these comments come in.
Yeah.
So there's no censoring process?
So what happens is keywords, which would affect the algorithm, get censored. That's what he's talking about with toxic comments. So so you notice how comments are coming through that have particular slurs which are quite vicious towards women. Those get filtered out. But saying generalized statements like, "Oh, I think this woman is a bad mother," you can't really do much about those. If you're going to put yourself on the internet at all and put yourself as a public figure, you are going to risk offending people, and they are going to. Sometimes you're going to have bad actors who will do horrible things. I tend to try my hardest to ignore that myself because I've had people do fucking horrible things to me.
That's absolutely true. We got the 6-hour segment. I'm gonna look at that later on. But that's absolutely true. You're gonna have, like I said before, you're gonna have people that are bad actors. You're gonna have people that are gonna be disrespectful, rude, and let's say if they're watching your content they're not going to, you know, be in the sense critical, or if anything, they're not going to be respectful. You're going to have individuals that are going to go for pot shots. You're going to have people that are going to basically attack how you look, how you dress, etc. So overall, especially when you are a public figure, at this point, like, if you see somebody saying something that you don't like, you don't have to listen to it. I mean, especially again, especially if they're going for low blows. I mean, it's up to you to decide whether you're going to take that and let it affect you. I myself, again, I'm fat. I have long hair, beard, glasses, and when people try to take pot shots at me, I could care less, because by the end of the day, it's just a bunch of randos that are freaking, typing on the keyboard. That's basically it. So for the final thoughts, for this lady to try to claim that she's gonna, try to do a lawsuit at Brian for what she did on the podcast, no, that is ridiculous. So in the end, I think just if you commit to doing bad things, have bad behaviors, you should at the very least take responsibility for it. If not, and you're just going to continue the bad behaviors and make excuses, then expect when people call you out for it. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Truly appreciate it. If you guys can, please leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. If you guys want to follow us on social media, it's all in the description down below, as well as check out our daily content and the weekly podcast. With that being said, this is Rob Novakast signing off. Have a good one. Take care, and I'll see you guys next video.